Alright, grade 9. I hope that you're doing well today. In today's session, we're gonna continue speaking about the early civilization of Africa. And while speaking about the early civilization of Africa, yesterday, if you can remember, we have already mentioned the geography of Africa, and we said that Africa is one of the major continents. It's considered to be the second largest continent on our planet. Besides that, it has various ways and various conditions regarding to its geography. To speak about the geography of Africa, we'll mention that we have very, very diverse places on that continent. Here in the northern, most of the northern part of Africa is a Sahara Desert, except of course for here in the river, the Nile River Valley. It's an agricultural one, and some parts of northern west of Africa also is an agricultural places. On the other hand, here in the middle we have the rainforests because of the equator. Of course, this area here runs through the equator, which is the center of the earth. Consequently, in this place here, there is rain all the year. Consequently, we had the rainforests. Other parts here are the Savannah region. The Savannah region is the place beneath the equator, and it has a very, very large grass called the savanna. And other regions here, Namibia and South Africa, we have some sort of desert which are equivalent in the feature to that of the Sahara Desert. And in that place here we have some mountains like in Kenya and also Somalia and Ethiopia. All of these here, they have the mountain regions, and there is another part of mountains here to the north of Africa. All of these diverse geographical features played an important role in the feature of the continent itself. Today we will continue speaking about the continent of Africa and civilization in it. And one of the things we are going to mention today is the resources and the trade. Of course, the continent of Africa is full of many, many resources. One of the most resourceful continents on the planet. Most of the resources in Africa are in minerals: gold, salt, coal, diamond, and other minerals. All of that continent is full of these minerals. Consequently, it has some goods and merchandise that can be traded with other people. But the idea here is how to trade that to other civilizations, like the Mesopotamian civilization, the Greek civilization, or nowadays to Asia and Europe. Of course, while doing so, you have various ways. One of the way is just through the desert by using camels. Another way is just using a river valley for transportation, or using the sea for transportation, or even the Mediterranean Sea for transportation. So we have many resources, and these resources will help in the process of trade. So before we start reading from our book, let's just watch a quick video about the resourceful places in Africa.
Good grammar and spelling.
Natural resources of Africa. Natural resources like trees, soil, water, minerals, etc. are the gifts of nature that are used by humans. With huge forests, many rivers, and a variety of minerals, Africa is highly rich in natural resources. Different resources are found in different parts of Africa. Rich in minerals, Africa is the world's largest producer of diamond, gold, and platinum. Around 95% of the world's diamond is found in Africa. Zaire and South Africa are its largest producers. Apart from jewelry, diamonds are used in industry for cutting and drilling. African countries like South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Democratic Republic of Congo produce around 50% of world's gold, which is used for making jewelry and currency. Petroleum is found in Nigeria, Libya, and Angola. Large reserves of other minerals found here are cobalt, copper, chromium, uranium, platinum, and bauxite. In spite of so many minerals found here, there are not many industries developed. This is due to the lack of iron ore and coal that are the basis for industrial growth. Forests and trees as valuable resources provide not only timber, but other important products like fruits and vegetables. The rubber trees found in the Congo Basin are now being cultivated, and rubber is exported in large quantities. Three types of palm trees are found in Africa. The coconut palm found in tropical islands along equatorial coasts provides coconut oil. The oil palm found in Nigeria and other parts of West Africa yields palm oil. Date palms grown in oases are an important food item for desert people. Egypt exports large amounts of dates. Cocoa from the cacao trees is used for making chocolates. Grown well in the equatorial lowlands, Ghana and Nigeria in West Africa are its largest exporters. The cola trees yield nuts used for making cola drinks and chewing gum. Large variety of fruit trees are found in Africa. Common fruits found in the tropical region are banana, papaya, jackfruit, pineapple, and mango. Mediterranean region is known for citrus fruits like olives, oranges, lemon, and grapes. Cashew nut is grown in East Africa. Zanzibar Island in Tanzania is the largest producer and exporter of cloves in the world. Africa grows both food crops, that is food for people, and cash crops, that is raw material for manufacturing industries. Food crops like yam and cassava are found here. Maize, an important cereal here, is grown in large quantities. Wheat, rice, and sorghum are grown in small quantities. Cash crops are important as they help the economy of a country. Palm trees and groundnuts are grown in West Africa. Around 24% of world's coffee and more than 50% of world cacao comes from Africa. Egyptian cotton and sisal are other important cash crops found here. Sisal, grown well in poor sandy soil, is used for making ropes and sacks. Water is another very important natural resource, which Africa has in plenty. Other than being used for drinking and domestic purposes, the rivers are used for irrigation, navigation, and transport, and in production of power. A great number of dams have been built to harness power. The Kariba Dam on the Zambezi River is the largest producer of hydroelectricity, supplying power to Zambia and Zimbabwe. The Aswan Dam on the Nile provides electricity to Egypt. River Niger supplies hydroelectricity to Ghana. Africa was once known as the hunter's paradise because of the variety of wildlife found here. But laws had to be made against unlicensed hunting and poaching to protect animals that were being hunted in large numbers for pleasure and for selling their skin, bones, horns, tusks, and feathers. Now, national parks and sanctuaries are being constructed to promote tourism, which is a fast-growing industry.
So simply, just to speak about all of this, we will find out that the continent of Africa is a resourceful one, and because of that, they have a lot of minerals and also a lot of merchandise that can be traded with another civilization. All right, Salman, can you read please page 282? Salman is still with me? Anyone still has a mic? Abdullah Haydari? Furayan? Ryan? Okay, guys. Resources and trade. Africa sits atop great mineral and other natural resources. Since ancient times, minerals wealth sparked trade among various regions: salt, gold, iron, and copper. All of these were important items in early trade network. Much later in the 18th or 1800s, desire for gold and diamond was one cause that led Europeans to seek control of Africa, and that's a very, very important reason. Okay, we can ask ourselves why right now a continent like Africa, okay, having like 80% of the diamond in the world and 50% of the gold, and still those countries are considered to be poor countries, not like Europe, not like America. Why is that? Of course, because most of the minerals that are found here in Africa are being transported to Europe and America with only 10 or 20% of their price. Only 10 or 20% of their actual price. Later, once they reach Europe and America, they will be resold to the people or resold to the people by a huge amounts of money. So, because of the ability in containing minerals such as gold and diamond, European countries sought control of lands in Africa. Trade between Africa and Asia increased with the introduction of the camel, because we said that a camel can travel in the desert between 20 and 30 miles a day. A camel can travel between 20, what's going on? Between 20 to 30 miles per day, and which is a huge distance actually. So we have an animal called a camel that can travel between 20 and 30 miles per day, and that's a very, very huge distance. Camels had also been brought in North Africa from Asia, because Asia are the original of camels, especially here in KSA. These hardly ships of desert, we call the camel the ship of desert, because they can move for very, very far distances without even drinking. Revolutionized trade across the Sahara Desert, although during trades had earlier made the difficult desert crossing in horse-drawn chariots. Camel caravans created new trade network, like the trade network which was used by the early Muslims. Camels also could carry loads up to 500 pounds and could plod between 20 to 30 miles a day, often without water. The caravan themselves brought great profits to the merchants on both sides of the Sahara. That's why trade started to thrive in Africa. So once again, we have the continent of Africa, which is a resourceful continent because of all the minerals and the resources it has. Then trade started to happen. The most and the effective way of trade was by the camel caravans. Camel caravans. Later, they used horse chariots. And of course, nowadays we are using planes, ships, etc. So, as we have already spoken about, once you start trading, you do not only trade merchandise and goods, yet you start to mingle ideas themselves. So migration of people on and also the ideas. To speak about that, we will see that the archaeologists have uncovered the evidence that points to the Great Rift Valley as home to some of the earliest ancestors of the modern people. Gradually, their descendants migrated out of Africa and beyond to people in every corner in the earth. So what do we mean by the Great Rift Valley? As you can see in front of you here, this place here of Africa is called the Great Rift Valley. The Great Rift Valley here is like a mesa, or a place to the east of Africa, here between those places, okay? And people started to mingle from this place towards other places. And all of these are photos for it. So all of this area here to the east, that's the Great Rift Valley. People started to move from that place toward Africa and also other places. Stone Age culture. We have already studied the Stone Age culture, and we said that people used the stones in order to make their simple tools. In Africa, as Africa was the home for the early people who inhabited Earth lived on the continent of Africa. In Africa, as elsewhere, Paleolithic people developed the skill as hunters and food gatherers at the beginning until they discovered farming and started to settle down. By 5500 BC, Neolithic farmers, the people who lived first in the Neolithic farmers, had learned to cultivate the Nile Valley and also domesticate some animals. By domesticating the animals and by living on farming, they changed from being animal hunters and food gatherers into being settlers, from Neolithic to Paleolithic. Neolithic period. As farming is spread across northern Africa, of course, Neolithic villages even started to appear in the Sahara, which was then a well-watered area. Back then, guys, at that time, 5,500 years ago, the Sahara Desert was not a desert. It was a well-watered area. There were some rivers here in this place, and all of it was like Central Africa. All of it was plants. Even our Prophet, peace be upon him, he has spoken about that, and he said that the judgmental day shall not come until the region of the Arab people once again comes a paradise and a well-watered forests. So between that area, 5,500 years ago, it was the Sahara. It was well-watered area. Scientists have found ancient rock paintings that show a Sahara covered with rich grasslands and also savanna. About 2500 BC, climate change slowly dried the Sahara. And because of this, we have the Sahara Desert nowadays. As the land became parched, the desert spread. This process of desertification means changing the land into a desert. Changing fertile and agricultural land into a desert is called desertification. So this process of desertification devoured thousands
Teacher,
of acres. Yes.
sorry, I just ran because it was not opening for me.
Okay, no problem, Abdurrahman. We were speaking today about the resources and trade of Africa, page 282.
Okay.
282. Opened it.
What?
Opened.
Yes.
All right. So we have mentioned that this place here, the continent of Africa, is a diverse geographical place because we have many geography in that place. We have in the north rim, most of the north of the Africa is Sahara one, except for this area here, that's agriculture one. And of course, the area of the river Nile Valley is also an agriculture one. In the middle, we have the rainforests, and beneath it, we have the savanna. To the south here, we have some desert, like the desert of Namibia. And to the area of the east of Africa, we have the mountainous area, and also some parts here in Morocco, we have a chain of mountains. This continent here is full of minerals and other resources. Consequently, once you have enough resources, you will start trading with other civilization. So the resources of Africa. Africa is well known by its resources like salts, gold, iron, and copper. And of course, it has like 80% of the diamond in the world and 50% of the gold in the world. Because of all of that, it started to trade with other people. And the best way to trade was by using camels, because camels, they had the ability to travel from 20 to 30 miles per day, even without drinking water. Besides, some other people started to use the horse-drawn chariots. So we have the camels and the horse-drawn chariots. Migration for people. People first started to live in Africa, in the place that is in the east here, the Great Valley. The Great Valley here in Africa. Okay, it's called the Great Rift Valley in this place. All right, and they started to mingle and started to descend from that valley into all of Africa and started to live in other places. So our archaeologists have found out that most of Africa was covered in plants and watered areas, but unfortunately, like the year 200 to 2500 AD, a climate change led to the construction of the Sahara, and a process that is called or named desertification. Desertification means the changing of an agricultural land into a desert. That's desertification. So about 2500 BC, a climate change slowly dried the Sahara. As the land became parched, the desert spread. This process of desertification devoured thousands of acres of cropland and also pasture land. The ever-expanding desert forced many people to move or migrate to seek new areas in order to maintain their ways of life. Of course, or if you are living in this place here, and this place turned into a desert, you will just move to that place or any other place that has a river. So, once again, because of the spread of the Sahara, people started to migrate towards other places in order to contain their ways of life. One of the great migration of the African people or the ancient African people was the Bantu migrations. As over thousands of years, the migration of people, thousands of African contributed to the continent's rich diversity of culture. So because of migration, the continent started to have a very, very diverse culture one. Because right now, if you are coming from Saudi Arabia to Egypt, then you will have your Saudi culture with you, and you will start spreading that culture to Egypt. So we're speaking about the people who started to migrate from Africa. So for example, if you are coming from Angola to Chad, you will bring your culture with you. From Niger to Zambia, you will bring your culture with you. So all the people who started to migrate in Africa started to bring their culture with them. Consequently, we have a diversity of cultures. Diversity of culture. So if I ask you what is a main reason or a main resource for the diversity of cultures in Egypt, in Africa, you will say migration. So migration is a main reason for the African continent's rich diversity of culture. Scholars themselves have traced these migration by studying language patterns. They have learned, for example, the West African farmers. The West African farmers and herders migrated to the southeast between the years 1000 BC and 1000 AD for approximately 2000 years. Like the Indo-European people, the Indo-European people of Europe and Asia, those who we have already studied about. These West African people spoke also a variety of languages. variety of languages deriving from a single common language. If you can remember, we have already studied about the Phoenicians. They have written the first cuneiform, later adapted by the Greek, and later adapted by the English people. The same thing. The people in Africa, according to the language, they have a main source of language, and this source started to spread towards Africa and to mingle with the people. The root language is called Bantu. The root language in Africa is called the Bantu language, which gives this movement its name, the Bantu Migration. So we derive the Bantu migration from the main source of the language in Africa, which is the Bantu language. Of course, as the Bantu speaker migrated into southern Africa, they started to spread their skill in farming, iron making, and also domesticating animals. Simply by migrating, you started to spread your own culture. Some existing cultures merged with those of the Bantu speaker. Wherever they settled, the influence of the Bantu speakers is still found in the language of the region today, in this place here in South Africa and from West Africa. So the Bantu speaking people started to migrate from this area, and by spreading and migrating, they started to spread their culture, and the people started to merge with them. Any questions so far?
No.
Yes.
Now, how is the timetable for quizzes gonna be? Is it gonna be changed?
How the what?
Every week we have a quiz, right?
Yeah, the time of the quiz. Well, I have contacted Mr. Abahag regarding the issue because some schools will just reduce the number of quizzes they will have. And he told me that there is no change in our quizzes so far, but perhaps they're gonna just merge the quizzes. So instead of having one quiz each day, you will have two quizzes. But finally, you will have three quizzes in each of your subjects.
Teacher, next week is the last week for projects, for
Yes,
quizzes.
for project, yes.
And also it's the last week for quizzes.
Yeah. Also for quizzes, because
Well, I have no information about that. I'm so sorry. I can contact the administration regarding this problem, but I don't have any information. I'm so sorry. Perhaps they haven't decided yet. Once they decide, they are gonna inform us, and we will inform you, or they are gonna issue an announcement on class era. But I'm so sorry, I don't have any information.
It's okay.
Okay,
okay, thank you.
you are very welcome. So for the Bantu people,
Money doesn't grow on trees. It grows with Amazon. Join
no, it doesn't.
Between modern now, the Bantu originated in Western Africa between modern-day Eastern Cameroon and Western Nigeria. The Bantu were and are an African people which encapsulate over 500 different ethnic groups, all of whom speak one or more of the 500 Bantu languages, inclusive of Zulu, Shona, and Swahili. The Bantu people expanded out of Western Africa between 3000 and 1000 BC. The Bantu people first moved eastwards and established themselves just north of the Zaire River. It was at this stage that the language of the Bantu splintered into two main clusters, namely West Bantu and East Bantu. These two sections of the Bantu people then migrated separately. The migration and expansion into other regions of Africa took two directions. The first groups moved southward and soon occupied occupied the regions of modern-day Angola, Zambia, and Congo. By 500 BC, the Bantu peoples had reached the rainforests of Central Africa. They infiltrated the forests and swamps between the Sanga and Ubangi rivers. This first group also moved into the woodlands of southwestern Zaire and later Namibia. Now the second groups moved eastwards to occupy the region around the Great Lakes in what is today East Africa in 1000 BC. They pushed southeastwards, continued down to the Zambezi River. Next, they moved into the region of Makura in Mozambique and Kilimanjaro. The Bantu expansion reached South Africa, probably as early as 300 AD. The mass migration lasted over 2,000 years, and the Bantu people eventually went on to set up many powerful African kingdoms, inclusive of the Mutapa Empire and Great Zimbabwe in southern Africa. The reason that the Bantu migrated across Africa from their original location are thought to be because their rulers wanted to expand their territory and establish new empires. Also, the fertile grasslands of the Sahara began to dry up, and the Bantu wanted to use the iron working that they had perfected in Western Africa in agricultural development in new areas. The Bantu expansion had many benefits for Africa, as technological developments in iron smelting and iron working were spread around the entire continent. Food production increased, and hunting was now supported with agricultural development and land cultivation across Africa. After the Bantu expansion, many of the great kingdoms of southern Africa were ruled by Bantu people, who tended to be highly resourceful and adaptable. Speakers of Bantu languages became present throughout much of southern Africa. Two main groups developed: the Sotho-Tswana, who lived in the interior plateau, and the Nguni, Xhosa, Zulu, Swazi, who occupied the eastern coastal plains. This great expansion provided the foundations for what would become the composition of African peoples across the continent.
And that was about the Bantu migration. Any questions so far about this part, the resources and trade beside the migration of people and ideas in Africa?
No, thank you.
Okay, guys, if you have any question, have no hesitation to contact me on Math Class Era, and enjoy the rest of your day and see you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
You are very welcome. Goodbye.